So, can you guys see the screen, or should I turn off the lights?
Yeah, it's alright.
Okay, right, so I'm Stanley. I'm a power user for Schoology. Excuse my voice, I think I'm still a bit sick. But today we're going to go through mastery in part of the Schoology, okay? So, just so this is a brief intro about what Schoology is, the mastery thing is all about. Basically, it measures the student's competency for learning objectives. So you can actually customize your learning objectives and you can actually measure that against your students' ability and see whether they can, whether they're able to complete certain tasks or certain learning objective that you set up. And that has been aligned to, so you can do it with assignment, tests, quiz questions, or discussion within the course. So you can align your learning objectives with any of these options in Schoology. Now, the benefit of using Schoology is that you can actually see the achievement throughout the entire course. So you can actually look at all your learning objectives at one go and see whether your student is performing well throughout all your learning objectives or just certain of them, a part of it, and then you can tell them that, hey, some learning objectives you're not doing really well. These are the stuff that you might need to improve for the exam. Okay. Another thing you can do is you can view all your learning objective, graded item that. Yep.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's cool. That's cool. Sorry. Yeah, we just started. Yep. And the range of score your students have received, so you can actually check their learning and check their grades and also check whether they successfully pass the learning objectives. Okay, we'll talk more about that in the Schoology system. Okay, you can also assess how your students have performed on all assignments, discussion, tests, and quizzes aligned to any given learning objective. So as long you align your learning objectives to assignments, discussions, tests, etc., you can actually see all of them at one go in the Mastery tab. Okay, and lastly, understand individual student strength and the learning objectives and assessment formats within which they struggle the most. So if they're struggling with one learning objective, then you can maybe focus on that particular learning objective with them in class or after class, for example. Now, lastly, customize mastery criteria and easily track students' progress. I'll show you guys that on the Schoology systems. So, how does it really work? I made a little flow chart. So this is how it works. Okay. So first of all, you have to create and customize your learning objectives. This can be based on NCEA or this can be based on solo taxonomy. So it will be the building knowledge, making near connection, and making far connections. Now, what you have to do is you align your learning objectives with the Schoology material. So out of the Schoology materials, you can align assignments, tests, quiz, questions, or discussion. And what you're going to get at the end is you're going to be able to determine students' competency, whether on their performance, on their strength and weakness, and either modify teaching techniques or strategy, depending on how well your whole class is progressing, right? So this is just the basic flowchart of what mastery is all about. But you guys can feel free to ask me any questions along the way as I talk about mastery, okay? Now, so I'm just going to jump into, excuse me, I'm going to use the point focus. So on the video, it should look pretty like that. Awesome. So here is my Schoology, and the very first thing you do about to sort out before you start mastery is you have to come up with your own learning objectives. So this is the way I do it. So I go to resources and I go to personal. So if you guys want to go to Schoology, should I just wait for you guys? You guys are on Schoology now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Cool. So if you go to resources, and if I go to my resources, my personal resources, and I can click my learning objectives. Now, I'm going to use my year 12 biology, for example, as an example, but I'll show you guys my year 9 last year, which I did mastery on as well, okay? So year 12 biology 2015, if I click it, these are the learning objectives that I set up. So at the moment for year 12 biology, we're doing the achievement standard 2.4, which is cells, okay? I set 3 of them with the same title, so biology 2.4 cells, but underneath them, I made a little comment about them. So my description, for example, this one is building knowledge. And obviously my other ones will be making near connection and making far connection. You can do the same thing for your one as well, or if you want to make the building knowledge and the making near connections thing as part of your title, that is also fine as well. But the point is that I like to do this way is because all of them have got the same tab, it's just the description is slightly different. Okay, so making your own learning objective, that's the way how you do it. Oh, excuse me. Now, if I go to my courses, and I go to my year 12 bio, and I'm going to show you guys with my test that I set up. So bio 2.4, I made a test called, well, a quiz called cell structures and cellular function. If I click in there, you can basically, I can go to the questions. So you can have a look. These are the questions I set up, just like what you normally will do for a quiz. But there's a slightly different thing that happens over here. So for example, if I click edit here, or the cog button, if I press edit, what I did with each question is that I align with my learning objectives. For example, this is a very basic question. This is just a basic vocab. So basic building block are unit of life, the smallest structure and functional unit of an organism, which is typically microscopic, and it's a multiple choice. So the answer is cell, right? So for this, I think it is just building knowledge for the cells. What I did was that I go down underneath, I click the advanced button, and I align my learning objectives. So all you have to do is, once you created your questions, you just have to press this advanced button, or just press this little bluish looking dot thing, and it will come up with this little tab over here. Now, what you can do is you can just press your customize learning objective, go to your personal one, and select the one that you want to add onto it. So for example, in this case, I want to add building knowledge, because this is very basic questions. So I add on to that, and that's it. That's all you need to do. So, for example, you can see now I already have one learning objective here. You can actually tab multiple learning objectives if you want. So you can tab, I don't know, any other ones that you actually want to assess them on. So maybe it's a separate learning objectives. But for now, I'm just going to do one. So that's what for this question. Yep.
So students can see the learning objectives here in the quiz?
As far as I know, I don't think they can see the learning objectives. They just see the questions, and that's it. Oh, and morning, Louise. Yes.
Stanley, do you do this after you've done some teaching, or are you establishing prior knowledge?
In this case, I already done some previous teaching. This is just like a end of week or end of
like a recap to see where they're at.
Yeah. So this is like a recap for me, seeing how much I've done. I'll show you guys my last year 9, which I did. It was like pre-knowledge and post-knowledge. It was like a pre-effect test and post-effect test, and you can use mastery on that as well. But in this case, I'm already done some teaching, and this is like a recap to see how much they have understood the topic so far. Yes.
And you align it to the level you think they're at.
Yeah, basically, yes.
This might not be sort of relevant, but
yep.
I was wondering, those multiple choice questions, when you have like a long answer question, which could be a subjective answer, how does the mastery fit into that? Do you have to give them the maximum amount of points for them to achieve that mastery?
Good point. So this, I'll talk about it. I'll add on to it when we talk about assignment. But basically, as far as I know, you can add multiple. Learning objectives. So, for example, I can add building knowledge and making near connections, but you're still given just one score. Yeah. So that's a disadvantage of the mastery. I think the good thing about the mastery is that you only put one learning objectives on each question, so you know what that question is focusing on. Mm-hmm. If it's like a long, like assignment questions, and you align it with, say, all 3 learning objectives, at the end of the day, you're still giving one grade. And I don't think that's, I think, that grade will represent all your mastery, all your learning objectives. So it's a bit off. Not accurate. Yes.
In the mastery settings, there's something you can adjust to change the
there's something you can adjust to change.
They get mastery, and sometimes they have to repeat an achieved answer several times to have mastery.
So in regards to the score that you might give them, because
so there's a threshold that maybe they have to get a merit to achieve mastery in that objective.
Gotcha.
So you can actually change it for each. I think it's for each learning objective.
Yeah, for each learning. I'll show you just really quickly after this, but I'll just quickly go through what I did for this particular thing. So I have 16 questions that was building knowledge. So all these tags that you see here, they're just basically building knowledge. If I just put my thing over here, it just says building knowledge. Now, I've also created some questions that were making near connection and making far connections. Now, this is the thing that in biology we're discussing, whether you can actually test a student's building near or building far connection based on multiple choice questions, or does it have to be something else like fill in the blank or something a bit more complicated? So I did make some, for example, if we have a look here, this is just organization. Place the level of organization of multicellular organism from the smallest to biggest. So in this case, I call this making near connections. I also had some question that was just fill in the blanks. But as I was talking to other people, I think sometimes the fill in blank is not really necessarily making near connection. So you might need to start thinking about how you're going to structure your question in order to align with your learning objectives. So if it's going to be making near connection, it might have to be a short answer question. And at the very end, what I did was I looked in the past paper and I just gave a short answer essay question on a particular NCA question that's with excellence. And what I labeled this was the making far connection. Now, this does take time to mark. So what you're going to get is, I'll just quickly show you guys if you guys haven't done it. So if I click my results for now, and what you're going to get out of it from the result is that you're going to get people that complete the test, but it says pending review. And what you have to do is you actually have to go in, view attempt. Sorry, this might be a bit off topic, but I'm just going to, and then you're going to go view edit, and you can actually see all the answers. And when you scroll to the bottom, for example, Tasha, she only just put a question mark. And this is a part where you can add your comments, or you can also give them results. So you can add comments.
Where you do your subjective, you have to read the paragraph or the...
I mean, the easiest way is that if you're out of time, the easiest way is you can just copy and paste the answer and just say, this is the answer, have a look, and then you decide what your mark's going to be. What I did with all of them, excuse my message thing, what I did with all of them is I actually write down the things that they were missing. So I was saying, you didn't mention glycolysis, you didn't mention about this particular process that happens in mitochondria, things like that, but it does take time. But I think it does provide them a very good feedback, and also these type of questions, I think they do deserve the making far connection, because they are NCA type questions and they are excellence questions from the past paper. And I'm just going to dismiss this, and after that you can what you have to do. Yeah, sorry. Stop texting me. Oh my goodness. I am just going to Anyway, at the end you can decide your grade, okay? So you can decide what grades you're going to give it to them. You can give them 20, 30, or however you want to do it. And after that, at the end of the day, the mastery thing. So once you mark everything, you can just click the mastery button, okay? So if you click the mastery button, you're able to see, is it a mute? There was no mute. Okay, so you can actually see...
is this your girlfriend or something?
I'm just going to disable this program. Sorry guys. They don't normally do...
It's called persistence.
It is called persistent, but is...
Hey, this is all on your video too, eh?
Yes. It will be in my video. Sorry. Hold on. Disable. There we go. Awesome.
Just got out of prison.
Cool. Alright, so if you click the mastery button, you'll see three columns the way I set it out. Now, the cool thing about mastery is that you can actually click individual students and you can see how well they have achieved. Back to Rich's little thing about the mastery setting, all you have to do is if you press the cog and click mastery setting, you can decide how much they have to in order to achieve in order to get the green bar. So at the moment I say meet expectation is 50% maximum or minimum, and then exceed expectation will be 70%. So the cool thing about Schoology is that it will automatically calculate for you depending on what they got from their quiz, and they can find out what it is. You can adjust this bar if you want. So for example, if you think your quiz was too hard and you want to just change the ratio or something like that, all you have to do is just scale the scroll down. So for example, 40 is
you just scale.
Yeah, just scale. So basically, yeah, you're just scaling, and then you can also change a 70 to say 50, for example.
And they all pass.
Yeah. So the moment you press this, for example,
yes.
Yeah, it will change. See how some of these darker green, that means they meet expectation, they exceed expectation, but some of them might, still be red, but it depends on the, how hard the test was, or, for example, like that. So I'll go back to that mastery setting tag again, and so I'm just going to change back 70, and then 50. Cool. And also mastering meet exceed expectation at least, so you can actually set 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times. So if I believe in this case, if you have 3 assignments, you have all the same, say making far connection student learning objective, they have to meet at least say 3 times if that's the way you want to set it. If you set 3 times, they only meet 1 time, they still be red on the mastery thing. Okay, so this is a way you can have multiple assignments with the same learning objectives and just say, you can adjust how many times you want to meet. Now, every time if you don't know what's going on, like I do, I just normally click this question button and it will tell you, give you a bit of information about it. Also, underneath, you have a grade of overall learning objective by average. I normally use average, but you can use the highest score if you want. But I think average will be the most scientific way to measure this. And also you can display, at the moment I'm displaying as numeric. I still prefer numeric, but you can actually go into NCA if you want. So if you click NCA and if you go save change,
then you have a problem with the averages though.
Yeah, then you'll have the problem with the average. Yeah, so now it will show you M, so obviously E, and the red one will still be not achieved. But I personally still prefer the numeric way to do it. But it doesn't matter which way you want to do it. It's on the go. You don't have to change. You just have to change that setting button, apply, then it will change automatically. Any questions so far about mastery? Because I feel like yes.
I have one.
Yes.
You've said we can link discussions, tests, assignments to it.
Yeah.
Can
Yep.
you link a column in your gradebook to it?
I don't think you can link a column of your gradebook
So it's
to it.
mastering.
But your gradebook should be aligned with your mastery as well. So this is
But
Yeah.
I have like 25% of my assignments can be done on Schoology. The rest are physical assignments that don't get submitted by Schoology. So grading something that then contributes to their learning objectives and the masteries in Schoology, is there a way to do that?
There is a way to import your grade. So for example, you can actually import things into your gradebook. I'm not entirely sure whether
I
then
use the gradebook anyway, but
Yeah.
I need to
you just want to basically use that you want to assign learning objectives to it.
Yeah, so say students are submitting a piece of artwork and it
Yeah.
contributes towards their mastery of understanding practical knowledge
Yeah.
in the arts, and I want them to submit 3 pieces of art that are at a merit level to get a
Yeah.
VAR connection of practical knowledge.
Yeah.
Can I link obviously they're not going to submit a piece of artwork via school
Yeah.
because that's just an extra step. They have to take a photo and then they send it to me, or send me a note to say, hey, I've sent this to you. Is there a way to just hand in the work and I mark it on the grade book and that contributes?
As far as I know, no, unfortunately. There is a way to just align your learning objective to, like, say, assignment or quiz that you already done on Schoology later on, if you want, and then that will show up. But in terms of physical, just you physically mark it and you import it to gradebook.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I was reading yesterday. I didn't come up with anything.
But I could make an assignment that doesn't allow submissions and grade that, couldn't I?
You can, but they still need to have some sort of submission, so they have their name with along next to the assignment, so you can grade it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you can't.
I mean, the only it's a very complicated way, but yeah, like you said, if they scan it and they upload it and you do the grade there, then but that's the extra steps. Yeah. I mean, potentially, I might be able to find out through Schoology, but potentially, if you can import their grade and also maybe somehow align to your learning objective, then your whole thing will be on there. So, but yeah, yes, Lamise.
Sorry, I was going to say. But
Okay.
in the assignments,
Yes.
for example, like with the carbon cycle,
Yeah.
I've got them making their submissions as they type
Yeah.
in the grade book,
Yeah.
right? And I just want to, I had to read through to sort of compare because they're allowed to type it and bring it back to class. And they've made the submission
Yeah.
so that it matches type of thing.
Yeah. So are you telling them to type it onto the Schoology,
Yes, I've got an
or you
assignment. I've got
yeah.
it uploaded in the assignment.
Yeah.
Right? So what I've had to do is save it into my Word document
Yeah.
to keep it.
Yeah.
Okay? And because it's an internal, I can't actually tell them at which level.
Yeah.
Do you know what
I know what I mean. Yeah.
So, would there be a way within this mastery, giving them the mastery, like the concept, for 3 minutes until they meet the expectation?
Yeah.
Is there a way that I can, in the same way, use the assignment to give them that guidance eventually so they can make a submission?
Yeah. I mean, the way what you want to do is that, instead of making individual learning objectives for building near connection building, you probably just want to have one learning objective for that carbon cycle, and then just say just one learning objectives. And when you go to your mastery session, you just have to basically change your mastery setting. So for example, you say that if they meet the 50% minimum, that means it's achieved, yeah.
Okay.
And so instead of using numeric, you might be using NCEA grades. But that would be the way to do it. You don't have to go into detail like how I make, how I have building knowledge, making it, because you want to mark the whole thing as a whole. So yeah, so you'll be using this mastery scale as a way to identify whether they have got excellence, merits, or achieve, based on the expectations. Yeah, how much you want to set as 50% minimum or 70% minimum.
Yeah.
Okay. Richard, I'll try to find out. I'll try to see if I can find out anything about it.
I'm just having a play because I just realised in gradebook when I was trying to align learning objectives to a column, it says can't do this while a rubric is selected. Now, I don't know if that means I give it to gradebook. Is that what it says?
Yeah.
But then you can add a rubric that is aligned to learning objectives. And if you go into gradebook settings, so I'm wondering if I can do it through that somehow.
Yeah. So are you talking about bulk edit or grade setup?
If I go to grade setup,
Yep.
and then over on rubrics, I can add a rubric like this, and then I go. I don't know how this works. I'm going to try to.
Yeah. Hold on. So yeah. So you add rubric here. Oh, excellent. Yeah. I think potentially you can. I'll give it a try because I already got some results set up and I might be able to do it. But I'll just finish this off and then we can probably talk more about that. But basically, for those of you guys who haven't tried out the mastery, so for example, if I look at Cameron, I can actually select his name. So this is really good for like parent-teacher interview. When the time comes, you can actually show the parents how much they have achieved for each individual. Well, for example, this one is a little quiz I made. But if I have more quizzes under the 2.4 cells, I will have another column here and another bar here, another bar there. And it will just show you like how much they have achieved for each of the topic. And as you can see, building knowledge at the moment, Cameron's sitting at 75%. Making far connections, this is sitting at 50. And somehow for making near connection, Cameron only scored 20 for that particular quiz. But for the mastery, the good thing about mastery is that you can display it to the parents and show them how much they have achieved so far. Also, another thing you can do with this particular mastery thing, instead of clicking the student achievement, you can click the learning objectives. So if you look at learning objectives, you're actually just looking at the overall, like the class grades. So you get a little box and whisker graph. I'm not entirely sure why it's not displaying properly. But you can actually see, so for example, building knowledge, everybody, so the median is sitting around the 80%. And you can see here's someone sitting over here. But yeah, it just shows the parents, the overall, the class grades, or where the class is heading at the moment. So
this is a good tool for you to be able to see what, if anything, the class is failing to grasp at this stage, so you can re-go over it.
Yeah, so the good thing about this is that if you do say like a weekly recap type of thing, so if you do it as a recap type of activities, just like a quiz and say, hey, go home and try it out, you can actually have a live monitor or have a quick feedback on your teaching, so it can show you, they're not doing really well in terms of the making near connections. What sort of question did I set for the making near connections? Maybe those are the things that I have to go through again before I move on to the next topic. So that's a good thing about the mastery. You can do it like within the weekly or maybe within 2 weeks time, and it gives you a very quick feedback on students' achievements. Yes.
I think it also links, just quickly listening to you, Stan, it links to the ASTOL pathways.
Yeah.
Especially for the year 9s.
Yeah.
Where you can actually see the gap, what they've achieved and where their strengths are.
Yeah.
And
So
you can make a connection
definitely.
between the two.
Yeah. So I mean.
Like the maths and the English pathway.
Yeah. So.
Also the test as well, because it's evidence-based. You can see.
Yeah. So I mean, it is useful to link to all these other stuff especially for year 9.
So it reinforces or year 10.
And I mean, if you can find the changes in terms of from the ASTOL or from the test to what you got here, then So that's that there. Another thing I think I want to show. Let me have a look. So this is basically the mastery I set up for my year 12 this year. Another way you can set up mastery, which I'll show you guys from last year. What I did was just quickly go to my archive. So this is my last year 9, and what I did with Ruby and Steve was that we came up with pre and post effect test. So we came up with the effect test, and we get them to do it at the start of the teaching, and by the end of the teaching we get them to do it again, and we see if there's any differences. Now the only ones that you guys really have to look at will be here. Sorry. So again, now this is so it's a fourth topic. This is pre, so it means it's pre-effect test, uni-multi-structural, and the next one is relational, and then extend abstract is over here. I don't know why they align differently, but as you can see from the pre, a lot of people were good at the uni structural, but they failed to understand the extended abstract and also relational. And if we look at the post, you can see some students did really well. For example, Andrew, at the start, he only got 50% for the uni multi-structural and fell on both relational and abstract. But after teaching forces, and he did the effect test again, which is post, as you can see, he actually exceeds some parts. So, for example, 78% over here, and relational 64%. So it is a way to show. You can use this to show parents, to show that actually Andrew actually made a progress from start to finish. But whether this is too late, because you're not actually monitoring the whole way through. You're just doing the pre and post. But it is a good way to see whether the students improve on it, and if they didn't, maybe before the exam you'll be saying, hey, look, we had a look at your pre and post, and your post effect test. You're not doing too well. For example, this person actually dropped. Peers dropped from 71 to 75. So it's like, hey, there's something going on with your learning and things like that, and it is a way to just pick up on their study or on their learning, basically. So this is another way to use mastery. If you don't want to do a weekly base or things like that, then you can just do like a pre and post effect test. Now, there are disadvantages. Well, they're not disadvantages, but there are some cons about mastery. For example, assignments. If you do align multiple learning objectives, I'm not entirely sure whether they will be calculated correctly. So like what I said. Also, I'm not entirely sure about Richard's situation. Maybe there is a way to include it. But I mean, since now I know, I can probably try to look into it, because that's what I used to do. I just go home and just look up. The other thing is setting up the quiz. So it did take me a while to set up that particular quiz, the one for year 12, and also it does take me a while to actually mark it, especially making the far connection. If you want it to be an NCA type question, like an excellent question, you want to provide that feedback, but at the same time it does take a lot of time. If you have like 30 students in a class, you have to go onto each individual score and just type it out and say, hey, this is the thing that you're missing, or good job, and things like that. So it does take some time to do some marking in terms of making far connection, or maybe even making near connection questions. But this also means you can promote some form of collaboration within your department. So if everybody's teaching year 12 biology, maybe we can all sit together and just come up with a quiz. So maybe some people will be focusing on the building knowledge question, and some people can focus on some other question. Just designing questions and put it into resources. And the good thing about this is obviously we have our own individual group. If you post it on there as a resources, you can just add it to your course, and you can do that for every year. So that's a cool thing about just applying mastery straight away like that. So any questions about mastery?
And the students are able to follow.
Yeah. I mean, from my understanding, when they look at a quiz, it doesn't necessarily tell them what learning objective it's aligned to. But by the end of it, they should be able to just able to observe it. Or as a teacher, we are able to actually monitor their learning in a much closer way than ever, I suppose, with the help of technology. So, questions? Because that's pretty much.
Random question.
Yes.
what's the equivalent achievement excellence to the numerical grades?
So
I remember, like, what percentage gives you a equivalent to a merit?
I would assume that if it's 50%, it will just be
It's
achieved.
achieved,
You know, I
but
think if it's like within the 75 region, like the merits, and then that will be the like this. I don't know, somewhere here will be the merits, and then will be the excellence. So
Because if you were to explain, if you know, if he
Yeah.
goes, oh, I got 62%, what is that the equivalent of?
It's still at the
It's
achievement
50,
level.
70, 85. So
50,
50
Yeah.
85.
70 for merit, 85 for...
I mean 64 here. So if we just click,
Yeah.
50,
For the
70,
minimum.
85. Yeah.
Thanks.
But you can set your own. I set my
Yeah.
own for my juniors because I want to use high
Yeah.
and lows. And if you... They don't
Are you
really
doing
average,
the,
like,
7
they don't
point?
average, like I do.
yeah, it will be 75. Anything below 75 is still an A,
Okay.
because that one was 64, and
The
it's
issue with
still.
the averaging, Stanley, is that if you've got one E or even two E's and then an M, you can't get the
Yeah.
E.
Yes,
So as soon as it averages and you've got an E there, it drops it down because
because of the average. So is that why you do prefer the highest score
I-
sometime then?
I've had to play around doing the pluses and minuses, but it doesn't actually give you enough slots in your grading thing to do a plus and minus for
Yeah.
a high and a low for every thing. So
Because I mean, if you just choose the highest score, it will just be based on that
Yeah.
highest one in the B. But then, yeah,
and now, is there a way? I mean, you've got a separate one for each, a separate learning objective for each.
yeah. In this case, yes, it's separate.
Structural or muni, pre, and multi in relation to an extended algebra.
Yeah.
One for each. Is there a way? I guess there's not a way to threshold it for one assignment to say if you answer it here, it's a multi-structural answer. If you go this far, then you're in the relational area, and if you do this, you're in the extended area. You can't set a scale like
You can't set a scale, yeah. Well, in that case, if you just want to base off one assignment, then you might just want to have one learning objective and just to be say a assignment 2 or whatever it is, and just use the mastery scaling to determine your achievement and excellence. That's the only way. So you determine achievement, merit, and excellence based on the grades that you give them off that assignment. Yeah, because you can't just. I mean, you can obviously insert 3 learning objectives into your assignment, but
then if they achieve it, they're going to get all.
yeah, they're going to get all 3. Yeah, so I think for assignment-wise, you might just want to do 1 learning objectives and just mark it, and then based on whatever marks you give them, that will determine your achievement, merit, and excellence. I think that's the only.
We could threshold each mastery individually rather than have them all threshold.
Yeah, but yeah, the problem with that is that everything will be threshold. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think that was one of the disadvantages I was thinking about yesterday, just about assignment by itself. Quiz-wise, it's fine, but assignment is just it's so long and everything. You can't. I mean, if there's a way to just say, if this portion the person did really well, then that will be the building knowledge, and this will be making near. But
It just seems like it kind of, in some cases it will complicate it, like in art, like they handed one assignment and I'm trying to figure out where that, and that's like the majority of assignments that I get handed in are like that rather than kind of, here is an achieved question, here's a merit question.
It's not so, this is this and this and that sort of thing for art. For me, for science at the moment, I think I like it how it goes, but I mean, later on, if I do start setting up assignment, I think I'm going to come up with the same problem as you. Just
I think for my research assignment stuff that's on kind of art history, it worked really well.
Yeah.
But maybe for practical not so much. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure, I do want to make it work for the practical. That if I could get that gradebook thing to, the gradebook.
I'll Google online a bit, because I mean this whole mastery thing. I mean I knew it from last year from the postman thing, but I still have to Google it a bit just to see what's going on.
To add it, because they've added other things.
Maybe it's something got to do with that rubric. But again, last night when I was like, rubric, I don't really know what this word means. I'm just going to ignore it.
I think the rubric with the learning objectives is you're supposed to have the learning objectives added already, and then when you align it to the rubric, it just makes the rubric for you. I think that's the only...
Yeah, so maybe the moment you import it, it will just automatically tell you what the master, it will just automatically shows on mastery, because based on what the grade you give them, potentially. I'll give it a try. I'll see if I'll just set in like a normal work here and import it. Hello.
I've got a quiz that's it's based on building knowledge. It's essentially a mix and match. But the issue that I've got is there's about 11 things or 12 things that they need to mix and match. Now, if they get one wrong, that marks the whole thing
Yes.
being wrong.
Yeah.
Now, is that, when you allow partial credit, does that fix that? Because the problem that you have is once you see the test, you can't actually go in and see that unless you get a student to do it, which I haven't got round to.
I know.
If you go to course options, you can view as student.
Oh,
Yeah, you can actually, so
That.
Oh, yeah.
here,
Go view course as, go across, pick any of your kids.
so if I want to put
That's-
Cameron,
Yeah, I know that too.
Okay.
this will be under Cameron's, like this is what Cameron will see
So-
if he
Initial
opens it,
test.
yeah.
Okay.
So there's a test,
So
but
then the issue that I have is if someone gets 11 out of 12, they essentially haven't mastered this making this building knowledge. When I would say actually they have.
Yeah.
I believe if you choose the partial credit, then they will get that partial credits. Depending on what the overall score that you get for that particular question.
Yeah.
So if it's like 10 points, and then if they got one wrong, they might just get 9 out of 10. Yeah. So use the, but I know what you mean because I do have. So for example, I didn't allow partial credit here, and then they just go because there's one wrong. But I believe if you just enable partial credit, they will still get part of the credit. So for example, this question is 20. If they just got one wrong, they're probably going to get 8, 17, 16 or whatever.
And so then can you set a mastery level at if you got, for example, 7 out of the 10, then that's enough for...
So then you have to go back to your mastery setting and find the scales of what you want to do for that. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else? Sorry if I gone really fast.
Stanley, that is you.
Okay. No,
Stanley,
yeah.
I'm going right back to elementary. But
Yes.
I want to edit a former grade book entry
Yeah.
that it's numeric at 100. I want to change that and I'm struggling to do it.
Do you want to change it? And you mean?
To out of 4 rather than 100.
Oh, right. So
That should be really simple, eh?
it should.
But I'm
Is it?
struggling.
You mean in your grade book? Is it?
Yeah, because
Or?
it's showing as 100 and I don't want it.
Okay. Sorry. Just let me back to course. So grade book
Yeah.
and grade setup.
So, and do you click on the... So I click on it, but it just opens it, whereas I want to edit the value.
So did you have the oh, hold on, sorry.
Oh, what are you in?
Oh, I'm on grade setup. Yeah.
Nah, stop the thinking. I got it. I didn't go to grade setup.
Yeah. So you can actually,
Yeah, now I'm right.
instead of maybe at the moment for myself, there's only one thing there. The one thing that makes it great. I can actually change the weight if I really wanted to.
I've just changed it to 0.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to have any weighting. I just want that I've completed it.
Yeah.
So I can change it to 0, but it shows that I've submitted, eh?
Yeah, that should just show them submitted. But yeah, that's the way to change the weighting of it. Yeah.
So if I've made it 0, and the percentage has to be 0 too.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's, I think I've got it.
Yeah, and